Upstart Chinese EV brand Deepal, which has only been inflicting itself on Australia since roughly Christmas, seems to have just admitted that those first vehicles they delivered, about that, dude. There's no real easy way to say this. They were a bit crap, frankly. Not at all the promised, quote, vast potential and limitless possibilities found in the depths of the ocean and the universe. That is on their website. Also, they were not particularly representative of the, quote, harmonious relationship between technology, nature and humanity, reflecting our vision to touch the future. I'm forming a view about what they have actually been touching, and it doesn't look anything like the future in which I want to live. But that's okay, according to them. They've flown over a guy with a laptop recently, and he's going to fix everything. In fact, reading in between the lines, this is even better than if they'd not been a bit crap from the get-go. I'm not making this up, dude. It's right there in the official news release. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au. New cars cheap, but Australia only. Website. Come on. Upstart Chinese EV entrant and flavour of naan bread you've always been a little bit too terrified to try, despite the waiter's glowing recommendation. Deepal will tone down the intrinsic unvarnished shitness of its in-cabin driver stalking camera system and its not all that intelligent cruise control, following a bit of a good old Australian customer backlash. Who doesn't like a bit of that? I know I do. Goodness me. They're also going to double the service interval because apparently that's up for grabs also. Oops-a-daisy. According to them, they've made a, quote, fast and dynamic entry into Australia. Perhaps a little bit too fast and insufficiently dynamic, I would argue, because the best thing to untarnish a fledgling reputation would be for the product to be substantially not shit initially. That's pretty clear. That's in the marketing Cert 4 course, I'm pretty sure. However, they appreciate your, quote, valuable feedback, and the parent company, of which you've also never heard, Chang'an Automotive, has, quote, shown a strong commitment to Australian drivers by responding quickly and thoughtfully, albeit not quite as quickly nor as thoughtfully as simply getting its shit together before inflicting the car on actual paying customers. Do not buy an EV, dude. Get rooftop solar instead. There's a much better return on investment. It also lasts longer if you buy quality components, and it doesn't attract annual fees such as rego, servicing, and insurance. Rooftop solar divorces you from coal and from sky-high electricity bills and the inevitable increases in the wings there. My bill for January just gone went from $600 last year to just under $200 this year, so that was uplifting, and we flogged the damn air conditioning, dude, working from home during this delightful Sydney summer. If you add a battery either up front or to an existing solar system, you can stockpile surplus electricity and use it in the evening when prices spike and protect yourself against inevitable power failures. And I have to say, it is pretty cool when every other house in the street is enveloped in darkness except yours. It's kind of like being in heaven, standing there looking over the edge at the suffering of the damned in hell. My solar partners are awesome too. I know them personally. They sell only quality components with solid onshore support. They've got in-house engineers who consult on every installation. In a nutshell, they rock. Go to autoexpert.com.au/solar. You fill in the form. That's pretty much all it takes. And there's absolutely no obligation. So that's kind of cool also. My dudes designed and installed my system, which I'll have you know I paid for, incidentally, and which has been great. autoexpert.com.au/solar. I'll put a link in the description for that. Now, back to me and the vaguely naan-flavoured Deepal calibration debacle. As disappointed as you no doubt were to learn that Deepal's driver stalking system and cruise systems were ever so slightly shit initially, you probably weren't actually that shocked. And I'm quite gratified that the company's capacity for complete and utter corporate horseshit is right up there with that of other leading car makers such as Ford, GM, Volkswagen, and Stellantis. So that's nice. This is pretty much Deepal's application to club horseshit from its website. As an energetic and forward-thinking brand, Deepal is dedicated to pioneering cutting-edge solutions that enhance mobility. At Deepal, we merge advanced technology and human-centered design to foster a more symbiotic relationship between people and cars. By placing users at the core of our philosophy, we aim to ensure their needs for safety, comfort, exhilaration, and intuitive design are met. Deepal vehicles are not just cars, they are intelligent partners, in tune with their drivers. This commitment to creating a seamless connection among humans and technology defines Deepal's design philosophy, which, interestingly, is the exact opposite of what that first tranche of Deepal cars actually managed to be. Not exactly the highest embodiment of vehicle-human symbiosis, not that intelligent as partnerships go, not that exhilarating, not that intuitive, and certainly not that seamlessly connected to people. Which is why they had to put that poor bastard on a plane with his laptop. We're pleased to announce that the Deepal S07 service interval has been extended from 10,000 kilometres to 20,000, with the time-based interval remaining at 12 months. Additionally, the previously proposed initial 5,000 kilometre service has been removed. Which bit of figuring this out before deployment was actually the hard bit? Because I'm still trying to see that, frankly. Fancy deploying an EV with a more intensive service schedule than, statistically, every new mainstream internal combustion car. What were they thinking? Dealers, of course, love tiny little service intervals, just saying. Perhaps it was just dealer appeasement and hope they could get away with it. I'm not sure. No word yet on the number of Deepal customers with the shits over any of this. Deepal deliveries started in December, but the company has so far refrained from reporting its Australian sales. In collaboration with Chang'an Automobile, our engineering team will conduct local test drives on Australian roads to refine the cruise control system's performance, particularly addressing the speed reduction behaviour when approaching bends. Just read in between the lines there, dude. It sounds like the exact opposite of refinement to me. We will uncouple the speed reduction functions of the adaptive cruise control and intelligent adaptive cruise control systems to allow for smoother, more consistent speed adjustments. Further adjustments to the IA blah 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 will follow after these tests. So it must be properly, emphatically shit, bordering on utterly invasive, unacceptably homicidally intrusive, and starkly disconcerting for them to admit that this is even necessary before any purported new software fix has even been figured out. Also on the Deepal to-do list, we're refining the driver monitoring system and making adjustments to alert warnings, audible, visual and physical, to better meet Australian drivers' expectations. These updates will be deployed to all vehicles once local testing is complete, and we'll continue to review market feedback to further enhance performance. By enhance, I'm inferring they actually mean de-shitify ever so slightly. You'd have to infer from that the driver stalking system as is roughly as annoying as having Chris Bowen knock on the door on Friday evening to meet yo mama. And speaking personally, that would be quite annoying. This, of course, is why you should never frickin' buy the first iteration of any new vehicle, but especially if it's a double whammy with a new brand. Let someone else be the lab rat, dude, and rejoice in their discomfort would be the civilised approach. Deepal is imported in Australia by Inchcape, which imports Subaru here as well, and also the dual European poison chalices of Peugeot and Citroën. But Citroën is a dead brand walking, and that arrangement is currently on death's door. Dr. Kevorkian is waiting just outside. And Peugeot is, of course, the ultimate automotive nothing burger. Inchcape is probably the best non-car maker importer of new vehicles in this country, but I find it especially disappointing on that one that nobody inside Inchcape was either A, aware of just how shit these systems were, and or B, insufficiently ballsy to tell the new Chinese overlords that it would be far better to just unfuck the product before selling it. There could be a whole Emperor's New Clothes dimension to this aspect of the Deepal launch shit show. Because on my world, beta testing this substandard crap on the public, which is exactly what's going on here, is absolutely unacceptable. Car makers are stupid. Let's not forget, Toyota took the decision to lie, to engage in misleading or deceptive conduct 260,000 odd times in relation to its shit DPF calibration on the 2.8 diesel. They could have just been honest about it, but nah, dude. Hyundai and Kia needed a barrage of complaint from Australians 20 odd years ago or something before they saw fit to recalibrate their then crap suspension setups in line with Australian crap roads. And when they did, the product was frankly transformed. But it took quite some time for shot callers in Seoul to even bother to listen to the local importer about how crap the cars were in the context of suitability for our roads. And of course, Mitsubishi recently inflicted some of the worst ADAS ever on the first tranche of Australia's current generation of Triton owners before a bunch of people told them that that was all unacceptably shit, forcing them to make late-breaking changes. So Deepal is not alone. The only Chinese car maker named after a stripper, Cherry, did a fairly terrible job on their calibrations at the outset, I note, and the GWM Tank 300 getting its rear wheels off the deck so entertainingly when braking hard. It's pretty much a half-baked engineering calibration travesty there also. Furthermore, nobody I know wants a driver stalking camera in their car. It's very low on the list of car buying priorities. These systems are preposterously shit because they false alarm ridiculously often, annoyingly, and they've therefore trained the driver to suffer the imposition and ignore the warning, which is exactly what you don't want when something goes wrong. You don't want a whole bunch of false alarms training the subject who could be saved that the warning is in fact useless. Thus, if one ever does fall asleep at the wheel, the alert tends to be ignored because it's already gone off falsely dozens of times over the past week, and this is just another one of those to be ignored probably. Like, look for any evidence that these bullshit systems actually work by saving lives, because I've looked and I can't find any such evidence. These systems, including aspects of adaptive cruise control functionality, are imposed on vehicles so that the car maker can get a 5-star safety rating. Euro NCAP and the barnacle on its ass, which we know as ANCAP, hinge the 5-star award on unproven technology of this nature. The reason these systems are so shit is that they are designed only to comply with ANCAP's requirements. No thought, seemingly, is given to the quote-unquote symbiosis and how the human part of that equation is going to feel about or interact with any of that stuff. It's like the propeller heads in R&D have a party in their trousers the instant they achieve 5-star compliance. Meanwhile, how the behaviour of these systems affect the customer is never actually considered because 5-star, shit yeah, dude, we did it. So I hope Deepal is learning a valuable lesson of sorts here, to wit, that it's bullshit rhetoric about that, quote, harmonious relationship between technology, nature and humanity, reflecting our vision to touch the future, is writing checks its shit calibrations cannot hope to cash. Touching the future, dude, like, give me a break. Epic insult to scientific literacy. You can only ever touch the present, of course. We're all disconnected from the future and the past by virtue of the second law of thermodynamics, problematically imprinting the arrow of fucking time on the universe. Should you ever actually touch the future, something's gone badly wrong upstairs, I would argue. An angel, probably Gabriel, would be bursting into the corner penthouse of Heaven Central because God herself would need to be alerted about the impending future-touching cleanup in aisle fucking 3. What do I really think about rhetoric of that nature? Deepal is obviously the shape of things to come, however. Xpeng, Leapmotor, Geely, Jayco, and other Chinese brands you've also never heard of probably are imminent on our shores. So that should be fun and somewhat entertaining over coming months. This is all going to seem quite strange, I know, in the automotive landscape, but should history repeat, in about a decade, owning a Chinese car is going to be about as controversial as owning a Hyundai or a Kia today. Deepal is the electric love child of Chang'an Automotive, which is roughly as old as Rupert Murdoch at 162 years of age. Imagine that. But that's amazing. He doesn't look a day over 140 and still scored Jerry Hall late in play too. She took one look at his huge, throbbing bank balance and it was love at first mention, I suppose. Where were we? Chang'an was the 9th largest car maker last time I had a look, making roughly, I'm going to say 2.5 million vehicles annually, which about 10% of those were EVs. Total production is about 1/4 of that of those big fibbers over at Toyota, the world's leading car maker and also least honest, at least in my view. The name Deepal signifies the end of the sea and the universe, symbolising a harmonious relationship between technology and humanity. The end of the sea and the universe. Dude, that's pretty upbeat, isn't it? Apparently you get that for free, but the car is kind of extra and it may be a bit shit initially. In Chinese, Deepal translates to deep blue, representing the vast potential and limitless possibilities found in the depths of the ocean and the universe. Okay, so I am calling bullshit on that. It's total crap, dude. Deepal is not a Chinese word for deep blue. It does not translate as claimed. That is entirely made up, self-serving horseshit. According to ChatGPT, which is never wrong, as you know, Shenlan, which is a sub-brand of the mothership Chang'an Automotive, does in fact mean deep blue. Shenlan means deep blue in Chinese, and Deepal is just a completely made-up Indian condiment-sounding bullshit name for Shenlan vehicles sold outside of China to make them sound more appealing and or less culturally confronting, like whatever. So Deepal does not translate to deep blue in Chinese. That's just bullshit. Deepal's operation in, of all places, Pakistan, where they have apparently 10 dealerships, which is kind of more than us, disappointingly, provides some insight into the actual meaning of Deepal. Deepal is a premium EV, first brand of Chang'an Automobile. The name Deepal combines deep and pal, symbolising a deep friendship between humans, technology and nature. Pakistani Deepal there, letting what they would call The Billy, Billi, out of the bag. Deepal. Imagine that. It's just perfect, isn't it? I do hope the agency charged them a shitload for that outstanding masterstroke of creative genius. Let's combine Deep and Pal. It'll be 8 million for the creative, 4 million for the focus groups, and we'll throw in a bullshit logo or 3 gratis. But on balance, this made-up Deepal business gives me some hope. Perhaps I can convince Geely or the SAIC to help me start my own Chinese car company for Australia. To make Australia less shit. God knows we need that at the moment, having to choose soon between the ultimate softcock and Peter Potato Trump. God. My Australian Chinese car company would sell, I don't know, a dual cab 4x4 with I'm going to say 500 kilowatt bi-turbo old school injected Cummins 6 or 8 cylinder engine and no advanced safety features whatsoever. I'd be using its 0-star rating and 0 ECU design as unique selling propositions to the faithful dude. I'd make it kind of crash-worthy, obviously, but we wouldn't be needing any of that contemporary ADAS bullshit that ruins driving. You just need to pass a basic advanced driving test to qualify to buy one. The air behind such a vehicle would go black with unburned carbon when you gave it a real squirt at the lights. Who doesn't like that? But it would be otherwise, emissions compliant. I might need to consult with Volkswagen on that one. They know all the tricks there, clearly. And I would complement that market-leading dual cab and its 7-ton tow capacity with a zippy little city runaround EV for grannies and, of course, grown men with skinny jeans cut off mid-calf and their hair in a fucking bun. We'd need a catchy, quasi-oriental brand name for such a company, obviously, not some vaguely generic Narn alternative alluding to friendship and the Marianas Trench. I'm thinking an English word suggesting ruler or monarch would be good, plus a Chinese-sounding word for movement or action, and a word aligned with one of those other fundamental elements, like air, seeing as those cocks at Deepal already took my favourite, which would be water, bastards. King is the obvious choice for ruler, isn't it? Named after Elvis, the king of Tupelo. Chinese for action, that's a bit harder, isn't it? That's, what is it? Chinese for action, dude? Look it up. Dong, happily enough. That would slip right in, I'd suggest. And air is obviously Kong, right? So I'm getting a picture. It's coming to me slowly. Elvis Air Action. That would work. That would sell its proverbials off, dude. Easy to make up some marketing horse shit about symbolizing being in total control, yet free in the blue vault of the sky, that vast blue vault overhead, and inexorably moving always. I give you the King Kong Dong, which to me just rolls off the tongue, dude. And of course the vehicles themselves would need names, wouldn't they? The dual cab could be the Thruster, and the little gender-fluid EV runaround might be the Stiffy. Credit where it's due, dude. Props to ChatGPT for rendering those excellent badges. AI did quite well with the Thruster, but sadly struggled to get Stiffy up. Choked on it several times, I know. Ultimately, I had to polish that off in Photoshop, which was not in my contract, I'll have you know. So, in closing, I give you the King Kong Dong Thruster and its little brother, the King Kong Dong Stiffy. Headline makers off the bat. The story just writes itself. The kinds of new vehicles that contemporary Australians are gagging for, which would brook no apology and need no hasty revision from some foreign chap with a laptop and a vague concept of finding a solution before he gets home, hoping to thread that needle post-haste and go back to a civilized country where funnel web spiders don't rain from the fucking sky every lunchtime. King Kong Dong, a brand right at home, jamming itself into the shoreline of Dingo Piss Creek, pulling the biggest caravan ever, while little Stiffy stays home, pridefully leading the parade, shouting, "You can't stop the music," like the colourful little engine that could, until well after its batteries go flat, which they never do. Thank you sincerely to my new Chinese deep pals from Inchcape via Pakistan and that plate of rather unusual mushrooms I had for lunch, for inspiring this vaguely cogent, investigative shit-stirring video. Chinese cars are coming, dude. You will probably buy one in time. Hopefully a thruster or a stiffy. Maybe his and hers, dude. Come on. More info on this at my other website, kingkongdong.com.